Iran has offered its support to Russia's invasion of Ukraine following talks in Tehran with the leaders of Russia and Turkey. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei told President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday that Russia was right to have taken the initiative. Now, he blamed Ukraine and the West for the outbreak of war and called for long-term cooperation between Tehran and Moscow. It comes just days after US President Joe Biden travelled to Israel and Saudi Arabia, and commentators say that Putin's trip sends a stark message to the West about Russia's plans to strengthen ties with Iran, China and India. Well, for more analysis now on what all of this will mean, we can bring in Dr. Ali Fatollah Najad, who is a fellow at the American University of Beirut. He's also the author of a book, Iran in an Emerging World Order. Great to have you with us. Just to start with, I mean, it seems that Iran had not come out previously and voiced its support for Russia in this conflict in such black and white terms until now. So why now? What's changed?
Well, Iran, first of all, has had a not so clear position on Ukraine. The Russians have a lot of influence in Iran itself. Via the Russian ambassador, there was some pressure on the Iranian media to align with the wording of the Kremlin. So there was some kind of a media Gleichschaltung there. On the other hand, Iran is for the preservation of territorial integrity is one of the main principles of international relations. Hence, it was an uneasy support. But the very nature of bilateral relations between the two is an asymmetrical one. Very clearly, the Russians are the main, the main part, the dominant part in this bilateral relationship.
So you mentioned that asymmetry then, which brings me to the question, what is in this specifically for Iran? Is it, I guess, putting its money on a new world order here?
Absolutely. The Iranians are hoping to be part of an emerging new world order based on the pillars of China and Russia. And the Islamic Republic of Iran has, over the last few years, very much pursued a look to the East geopolitical orientation that is forging closer ties with non-Western great powers such as China and Russia. With the Chinese, the Iranians have already signed a 25-year agreement. With the Russians, they want to sign a 20-year agreement. Both of the agreements are totally intransparent. So the fear is that the Iranian state is probably engaged in a sellout of national interests and as well as resources, because it needs some kind of outside guarantors for its regime survival in a time of unprecedented internal and external pressure. So this is the Iranian ambition from the state side.
Well, the comments from the Supreme Leader, of course, won't have gone unnoticed by Washington. I just wonder, where does this now, with this very latest development, leave efforts to revive the nuclear accord?
Well, the nuclear accord, as you know, is in a very difficult state. The Iranians tried to maximize their concessions, or the concessions they could get from the West, while pursuing their nuclear escalation strategy that is ramping up its nuclear program in order to create some kind of alarmism in the West to rush to the negotiation table. When it comes to Russia's role in the JCPOA, it has always been very opportunistic. That is, Russia, first and foremost, was interested in its own kind of interest. And so the talk of a strategic alliance between Tehran and Moscow is therefore not accurate. And there is the fear, and of course, after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Russians tried to torpedo the JCPOA process, that is the process toward the reestablishment of the Iran nuclear deal. So in other words, by now, we cannot say for sure how Russia will behave further down the line.